7th, 2014. And at this point, I would like to ask Ms. Valencia to please lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Right hand over your heart. Ready, begin.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good evening, staff. Good evening, Amy. Would you please do roll call?
Present.
Here.
Here.
Thank you. At this point, I'd like to open public communications for anyone wishing to speak on any item that is not listed on the agenda item. Please step forward. You have 3-minute time limit. And again, any item that is currently not listed on the agenda item. Seeing no interest, I now close public communication. And at this point, we'll start with our first item on the calendar, on our agenda item, is to, accept the minutes from last meeting of June 25th. Do I hear a motion to accept the minutes for the 25th?
I accept.
I second.
Any objections? Seeing none. Our next item on the agenda is a staff report from Mr. Olivas.
Yes. Chairman Muse, members of the Planning Commission, I have placed at your desk a checklist that will cover my very brief presentation because we have a very busy schedule today. And that is what constitutes the Brown Act and what is included in it that pertains to this Planning Commission. First of all, the definition of a meeting is where there is a quorum, which is the minimum of 3 commissioners that discuss matters within the jurisdiction of the Planning Commission. Now, what's within the jurisdiction of the Planning Commission? It's land use, it's zoning, it's CUPs, variances, and anything that relates to land use within the city. What is not within your jurisdiction is budgeting, hiring, personnel, settlement of litigation. So you see that a meeting which requires a minimum of 3 commissioners can conduct a meeting, and that would mean that if 2 commissioners do not show up to a meeting, then a minimum of 3 can conduct a meeting and vote on items. Now, there are legal meetings and there are illegal meetings. Now, what's a legal meeting? A legal meeting is a meeting which is agendized. You have your agenda and is posted at least 72 hours before the meeting. Now, we post here on the Thursday before the Wednesday, so it's more than 72 hours, and we also put it online for the public to read. Now, today constitutes a legal meeting because it was duly noted, posted, and actually published in the newspaper for the public hearing items, and you all have your agenda, and so you're all safe. This is a legal meeting. Now, what constitutes illegal meetings? Well, that's when a quorum, that's a minimum of 3, meet outside of the meeting in a restaurant, at IHOP or any place, and you discuss matters within the jurisdiction of the Planning Commission. So you can talk about sports, you can talk about the weather, you can talk about budget items before the City Council, you can talk about personnel, you can talk about anything except the subject matter that is before you. CUPs, variances, zone changes, general plan amendments, any item that you will be seeing before you. Updates that Amy gives you on the MRF, on the Olive Pit, those are all matters which may come to you at some point in the future. Now, That's the easy one, when there are three commissioners meeting outside of an agendized meeting. The hard one is where there's what's called a serial meeting. That's when one commissioner meets, let's say Commissioner A meets with Commissioner B, and they decide how they're going to vote on an agenda item. And then Commissioner A talks to Commissioner C, and they decide how they're going to vote on the meeting. So Commissioner A knows that there's a quorum in favor of the meeting. So what, in effect, you held a meeting, but you held it in two meetings. So this can occur very easily when you speak to each other, and two commissioners can speak to each other. That's not a violation of the Brown Act. It's if three commissioners talk together, or if two commissioners talk together and then they have another meeting with a third commissioner at a separate meeting. That's called a serial meeting. It can also be violated through correspondence and email. If you start a conversation via email with one commissioner, that's fine. But if you broadcast to all commissioners, and then one commissioner responds, and then another commissioner responds, CCing all the other commissioners, then a consensus can be reached via email. So that would be an illegal meeting. So there are exceptions. For example, social gatherings. Of course, you can meet in a social setting. Talk about the weather, the news, talk about anything except where three of you are present. You talk about the matters within the Planning Commission jurisdiction. Ceremonial functions like the Barnes Park opening, that's fine. You can all be there. Other agendized meetings such as the City Council, or let's say you go to testify before the Board of Supervisors. You can all be there. You can all get up and talk before the Board of Supervisors. That's not a violation. The only violation occurs is when three of you walk off to a side and have a little meeting. So that's the only way you can violate the Brown Act at these types of meetings. And then there are conferences, like the League of Cities conferences. You can attend those. You can all sit together. It's fine. You can listen to the lectures. It's when three of you or more start talking about issues within Baldwin Park. You can talk about in general what the speakers are speaking about, but when you bring it back to what's going on in Baldwin Park, that would be a violation of the Brown Act. So you can have socials, you can have ceremonial, you can have other agency meetings and conferences. Those are all fine. Now we have what's called closed sessions, and that's primarily what city council members do. If you see them all march off into the room back there, that's called a closed session. And there are only certain exceptions to having an open meeting, and those would be to discuss personnel matters, which are confidential. Labor negotiations, because you don't want to negotiate in the open, obviously, and real property negotiations, because you don't want to publish how much you're willing to pay for a property. And this is where it applies to you, existing or anticipated litigation. If there is a matter we believe you need to be spoken to from legal counsel concerning possible litigation, we may agendize a closed session, and we will march off into the room, and I will brief you on the litigation matter. You will not be making a decision back there. You will simply be asking questions and being informed about possible litigation. Finally, and I said I'd be brief, we have the violation of the Brown Act. Well, if you violate the Brown Act, there are civil and criminal ramifications. The civil ramification is that an individual or a DA can get injunctive relief, declaratory relief, or void the action completely. The other repercussion, which we don't often talk about, is criminal. The DA can cite you for a misdemeanor for violating the Brown Act, and you have to fall into two categories. Number one, you have to take an illegal act, such as being outside and talking about things and coming to a consensus outside of a meeting. And second, you have to meant to violate the law. Okay, those are the two circumstances in which the DA can prosecute. Now, the Public Integrity Division of the DA's office is very active now. They've been more active in the past 10 years than they have in the past 20 years. Since I started this almost, almost 27, 28 years ago, you never saw the DA asking questions about a Brown Act violation. It's only since Cooley came into office and now and started the Public Integrity Division, do they send letters out to city councils and the planning commissions saying that you violated the Brown Act and you have to cure it or we're going to prosecute. So that concludes my brief presentation of the Brown Act. Do you have any questions or inquiries? Okay, then when you're out there, be careful. Thank you very much.
And as always, if you have any questions, call me. I'm here to answer them for you.
Well, thank you, Mr. Olivas. And next item on the agenda will be presented by staff. And Amy, I take it that you're up.
Maybe there. Oh,
There
there
you
we
go.
go. This request that is before you is for a conditional use permit for the on-site sale of beer and wine in conjunction with a restaurant, America's Taco Shop, which is located within the Superior Grocery Store Shopping Center. This is actually the property in question. America's Taco Shop is, if you go into the main entrance off of Main Avenue, it's right there on the northern corner. The floor area, there's approximately 2,272 square feet of floor area. The business has approximately 40 seats on the inside, and then also there's about 32 or so seats under the colonnade on the outside, which you can see here between the red, or the pink and the blue. For those that are unfamiliar with America's Taco Shop, pretty much when I went there, how it works is you walk up to a counter, you order your food, you're provided a number. Non-alcoholic beverages are through this fabulous self-serve soda machine that you can get all different kinds of soda. And then obviously beer and wine, based on what I have heard from the applicant, will be provided to a customer at the counter when they order, and it is stored underneath the refrigerator at the counter with any excess in their walk-in cooler in the back. As I stated, this shows actually the seating, or the inside, oh, my glasses are not on, the dining area, the kitchen area, and then also the outside area. We're asking, because the applicant on your large Exhibit A, which was provided to you, did not show the outdoor dining area. So what we would like to do in order to provide some comfort level to the applicant is attach what was provided to you to their Exhibit A, so that should someone come in the future, they can say, okay, yes, beer and wine may be allowed, provided this CUP is approved out in the in the colonnade area. The city's police department has been informed of this request, as we do with every request with alcoholic beverages, and they do not believe that there will be a negative impact on the subject site or the surrounding area, provided that the applicant follows all of the conditions of approval of the resolution, as well as the conditions of the Department of Alcoholic Beverage Control, which is a state agency. So at this time, staff is recommending the Planning Commission open the public hearing, and following the public hearing, adopt Resolution PC 14-11 entitled, "A Resolution of the Planning Commission of the City of Baldwin Park approving a conditional use permit for the on-site sale of beer and wine," which is a Type 41 license, a conditional use, in conjunction with a restaurant within the MU mixed-use 1 zone pursuant to Section 153.120.050.A.1 and Table 153.050.020 in the city's municipal code. The location is 14417 Ramona Boulevard, Unit B5. The applicant is Ying and Roofie, care of Daniel J. Kramer with Strike and Tectel, representing America's Taco Shop, and the case number is CP 811. And this concludes staff's presentation.
Thank you, Amy. Are there any questions from any of the commissioners to staff at this point?
I have a question. Is this restaurant located directly adjacent to Manici's?
It's right across the drive-through from Menchie's. The main entrance is there, Menchie's is on the south side, and America's Taco Shop is on the north side.
Thank you.
Amy, one quick question. What is the legal age of someone selling the alcohol to the customers?
That would be, back in the day, it used to be 18 years old. I do not know the answer to that right now.
It is 18.
Is it 18?
It's
Okay,
18.
18 to serve, 21 to consume.
That's correct.
Okay.
All right, thank you.
I have a question. Is there going to be any remodeling done at this time?
It's actually already all been done. The applicant did submit tenant improvement plans, which were approved, and they're pretty much built out. They're just waiting now for the conditional use permit to serve beer and wine.
Another question. Do we have security in the premises of that location at Superior?
The whole entire shopping center,
Yes.
I am unaware of any security. And I will say I have not asked, so.
Any other questions from any commissioners? Okay, seeing none. At this point, I'd like to open public communication on this item. Anyone wishing to speak on this item, please step forward, state your name and address, please.
Good evening. My name is Dan Kramer. I represent the applicant with the law firm of Strike and Teckle in San Francisco. Before I start, I just want to say thanks to staff for all your hard work on this. She covered a lot of the information in her presentation, but just want to answer the commissioner's question about security. There is security in the center. There's a vehicle that patrols the whole center. Just a brief background and some supplemental information on the restaurant. The current store hours are 10 a.m. till 9 p.m. There's no live entertainment or live music, and the patio is right on Main, so noise isn't something that's going to be an issue. The neighbors are very far away, and it's a heavily commercial area. The offering, the conceptual offering is probably just going to be one domestic bottle brand and one imported Mexican brand. So there's no beer on tap. So very limited selection. Also, as Ms. Harbin mentioned, it is counter service as opposed to wait staff service, which always will decrease the amount of alcohol consumed at an establishment. The owners are here, as is the store manager. So if you have any detailed operational questions, they'd be happy to answer them.
Thank you very much. Anyone else wishing to speak on this item? See no further interest, I now
I
close.
have a question.
Okay, go ahead.
I asked this before, was there any remodeling done? And after reviewing his plans, I see there's a lot of remodeling going on. Is this plans, old plans, or are they new plans that are going to be done? Are they plans that have been approved already?
Yeah, these are plans that have already been approved and vetted out by our building division as well as inspected.
Thank you.
So basically, in other words, the store is already up and operational, correct?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
One
Again, see-
last question.
Okay.
Would there be a limit to the amount of alcohol one person can consume?
That would be a question for the applicant. I did ask if America's Taco Shop, and this is a franchise, by a franchisee, excuse me, if America's Taco Shop had, any overarching, alcoholic beverage regulations, and I was provided an email that said no, but you might want to ask the applicant to come back up and see, what type of training or anything that the franchisees may be providing their employees.
Could the applicants please step forward?
This is Mr. Chen, Mr. David Chen, and he is a franchisee representative. I'll let Chen answer the question.
For the time being, my store manager has gone through the just like a ServSafe certification. He's certified. And myself also previously running a full service restaurant. For 5 years, for the ABC record, I was totally clean, and my staff will just make sure that people serving is over 18 years old to serve for the customer, and we will limit no more than 1 drink per hour, so without causing any potential DUI situation.
Thank you. And again, seeing no further interest in regards to the public communication.
Yeah, one more to ask. What are the hours of operation?
I believe it was 9.
They do have hours. They did provide us with hours of operation, which are shown as condition number 6, Monday through Sunday, 10 a.m. to midnight. However, if I recall, you just said you're open from 10 to 9, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
you're correct. Currently, hours are 10 till 9. We'd like approval just in case the applicant would like to extend hours during certain times of the year till midnight, but they've agreed to all the conditions, which would be a last call at 11 per the CUP. Currently, it's not open past 9 o'clock on any evening.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And let's try this one more time. I will be closing public communication, seeing no further interest. And at this time, does any commissioner have any questions for staff after hearing or reading any more information? Seeing none, at this point, I will accept a motion.
Motion to move.
And that would be PC 14-11, as read by Amy Harbin.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
I second it.
Any objections? Seeing none, motion passes.
And for the record, that would be 5-0.
Yes, that would be 5-0. Thank you.
Welcome a new business to Baldwin Park.
And now moving on to the next agenda item.
Honorable Chair, Commissioners, and members of the audience. The request before you is a request for approval of a conditional use permit for the on-site sale of beer and wine in conjunction with a full-service restaurant pursuant to Table 153.070.020 in the city's municipal code. Location 14335 Ramona Boulevard. Applicant Jose Luis Padilla. Case number CP 815. Property is located at 14335 Ramona Boulevard. The site is currently occupied by a restaurant named Nueva Italia Salads and Grill. Overall, the site in question is a rectangular shaped parcel with a total lot area of 3,000 square feet, which is approximately 0.06 acres. The site is located on a corner lot that has frontage along Ramona Boulevard and Lawrence Avenue. There's an aerial view there. This property appeared 3 times before the Planning Commission. First was back on March 28, 2001 for case number ZV666, where the Commission approved the request to allow less than the minimum required on-site parking stalls for a restaurant. Second was July 26, 2001, case number CP632, where Commission approved a request for the on-site sales of beer and wine in conjunction with a proposed restaurant. And lastly was October 10th, 2001 for case number CP632 mod, which was modification to CP632. Commission approved the request of modifying the existing conditional use permit, expanding the on-site of beer and wine sales area to include outdoor dining within the public right-of-way. This became null and void in 2011, which is why now they are applying for a conditional use permit.
When you
So-
cease the use for more than 6 months, the CUP expires. That's what occurred.
Now, this is the floor plan for Nueva Italia. The front is where Ramona Boulevard is located. As you can see, there's some outdoor dining area there. And in the rear as well, there's 4 tables back there. And staff recommends that the Planning Commission adopt Resolution PC 1412 entitled A Resolution of the Planning Commission of the City of Baldwin Park adopting the findings of fact and approving a request for consideration of a conditional use permit for the on-site sale of beer and wine in conjunction with a full-service restaurant pursuant to Table 153.070.020 in the city's municipal code, location 14335 Ramona Boulevard, applicant Jose Luis Padilla, case number CP815. This concludes staff's report.
Thank you. And at this point, are there any questions on this item to staff by the commissioners?
Yes, again, any remodeling been done? And if so, have been approved already?
Yes, it has. Similar to America's Taco Shop, the case that you just heard. They did do, if I recall correctly, some minor tenant improvements. There had already been a restaurant there. It was just cleaned up, repainted, and that's all been completed and done, and they are operating now.
At this point, I'd like to open public communication on this item. Anyone wishing to speak on this item, please step forward. Please state your name, and you have 3 minutes.
Yes, good evening, Chairperson Moose. My name is Armando Chavira. I'm an attorney in the San Fernando Valley, and I represent and am general counsel for Jose Luis Padilla. I did review the staff report, and with one exception, there's no problem with it at all. I did email Ms. Harbin a request for modification of the proposed hours of operation. That would be paragraph 5. As presently written, the paragraph 5 hours of operation would include service of alcohol and operation of the restaurant Monday through Friday, 10 a.m. to 9 p.m., and Saturday and Sunday, 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. We're asking for a slight modification of hours to include Sunday through Thursday, 10 a.m. to 9 p.m., and I stand corrected, Sunday through Thursday, 9 a.m. to 9 p.m., and Friday and Saturday, 9 a.m. to 11 p.m. This is a bona fide restaurant. The service of beer and wine is incidental to food, but as you sit down, order your meal, and can order an alcoholic beverage consisting of either wine or beer. for on-site consumption only. Any questions on the requested modification?
Okay, at this point, was that request in our packet? To modify this?
No. What had happened, when the application came in, there were no hours of operation noted. What staff did is staff called the number on the application, and that was the number to the restaurant. They spoke with the employee there and asked what the hours of operation were, and that's where we got the hours of operation that are in here. Mr. Chavera asked me if they could modify that. However, because the staff report had already been out to the commission with the hours that we had gotten from the employee that answered the phone, I said that it would be prudent for him to come here and ask that request of the Planning Commission.
All right, thank you. Could you, again, I'm sorry, could you repeat those days and hours?
Requesting,
How I have it written down is Sunday through Thursday, 9 a.m. to 9 p.m., Friday and Saturday, 9 a.m. to 11 p.m.
that's correct.
Okay.
Okay, that's what I wanted to make sure. Okay.
I got one question. Will there be any entertainment in that facility?
No, possibly recorded music, but no entertainment to speak of.
Thank you. No karaoke, no.
No. It's a relatively small location, very beautifully anointed restaurant, but no, it's a sit-down restaurant, family type, and the only exciting thing is the service of alcoholic beverage, and that's it.
Thank you.
Actually, I beg to differ. The exciting thing is the food.
Yeah.
So it's a good place. I also like the records to show that I did visit the location, and very good place, very good. The service was great and the food was excellent. So my compliments to the owners. Again, any questions from the staff in regards to this item?
Is this location under new ownership, or is it under the previous owner that was Uruapan?
It's the same owner.
Okay.
Yeah.
No further questions.
Okay, at this point, then I will close public communication. No further questions. Thank you. Again, prior to closing, is there anyone else willing to speak on this agenda item? Seeing none, I will close the public communication. And at this point, again, are there any commissioners have any questions to staff in regards to this item? Seeing none, then I will take a motion on this item.
And would the maker of the motion state whether they wish to include the amended hours?
At this point, I will make the motion to accept this agenda item as amended for the hours of Sunday through Thursday, 9 to 9, and Friday and Saturday, 9 to 11. Okay. Do I get a second?
I'll second it.
And that's for approval of PC 14-13 as amended to item number 5 with the hours.
That is correct. Are there any objections? Seeing none, motion passes.
And for the record, that's 5-0 vote.
Okay, staff, you're up.
Honorable Chair, Commissioners, members of the audience, another alcohol item before you. However, this one with a little different twist. This one is for the off-site sale of beer and wine in conjunction with a meat market and convenience store located at the northeast corner of Calmview Avenue and Nubia Street. This business, as you can see on this map, is at the southernmost boundary of the industrial zone. However, what it does is it's a neighborhood market that primarily serves the residential area. When I was out there doing a field inspection, one of the things that I did notice were a lot of the local neighbors just walking, getting what they needed, and walking back. La Primera, which is the name of this facility, sells a variety of meats. They've got a pretty extensive meat counter, dry goods, frozen food, and then also produce as well. It is housed in about a 3,000 square foot concrete block building, and the proposed beer and wine is proposed to be located in these 5 doors right here within this walk-in cooler. They have sodas over here, and then they have dairy products over here. One of the things that you should know if you have not been out to visit the site, when we did conduct our field inspection, one of the things that we did notice when we were out there was that the landscaping needed some help, and that there was some outdoor storage of some items in the parking area and places that it shouldn't be. One of the things that we have done is we have included as conditions of approval that the landscaping be rehabilitated significantly within the planters and the setback area along the building on Nubia and Calmview, and that also that a lot of the outdoor storage of the stuff, as I call it, be removed to where it's a more inviting facility. One of the things that I did want to let you know, further down on our agenda tonight, it's specifically item number 10, is an update to the city's alcoholic beverage policy. In a nutshell, this proposal that is here before you, as submitted, does comply with the administrative policy that the council adopted at their last council meeting. And how I show that to you is if attachment number 3 to your staff report is actually the escrow instructions that the applicant has entered into to purchase an existing off-site beer and wine license that is currently located over by Taco Nazo across the street. They have entered into escrow with that owner of that license to take that license from that location and relocate it to this location here at Calmview and Nubia. So what that will mean then is that in accordance with the policy, businesses that have less than 10,000 square feet of floor area wishing to sell beer and wine, which this does, there will not be an increase in the number of off-site licenses for those types of businesses with less than 10,000 square feet of floor area, because he's taken one license from here and moving it over here. So again, the city's police department has been informed of this request, and they're quite happy, provided that the applicant complies with the conditions of approval in the resolution, which includes the removing of the stuff and the rehabilitation of the landscape in addition to other things, as well as complying with the conditions of approval as set forth by the Department of Alcoholic Beverage Control. They do not believe that there will be a need for additional police services. So at this time, staff is recommending the Planning Commission open the public hearing, and following the public hearing, adopt Resolution PC 1413, a resolution of the Planning Commission of the City of Baldwin Park adopting the findings of fact and approving a conditional use permit to allow the off-site sale of beer and wine in conjunction with an existing meat market and convenience store pursuant to Section 153.120.050.A.1 and Table 153.050.020 in the city's municipal code. The location is 5004 Calmview Avenue, and the applicant is Jose Marin, and the case number is CP 817. And this concludes staff's presentation.
Thank you, Amy. At this point, does any member of the commission have any questions for Amy? Amy.
I got there's only 4 parking spaces for that meat market?
That is correct.
One handicap and 3?
That is correct. This building was originally built as a food warehouse. When it was built, the it met the parking at the time for warehouse use. However, now, we've wanted to, in accordance with the goals and policies in our general plan, to rehabilitate buildings and encourage businesses. You know, they are allowed to do retail sales such as this within the industrial zone. However, as stated, the parking doesn't meet currently the retail rate for parking, which is one parking space for 250 square feet. But as I said, when I noted when I was out there, I saw no one driving in and out. Everybody was walking. And in addition to that, there is street parking on Nubia and Calmview too, if necessary.
Quick question. On your on-site visit, you indicated that in the parking lot there were, as you put it, stuff
Yes.
in the parking area. That stuff, was it preventing any, I know there's walking, but did that stuff prevent people from driving in and out of that location?
It was in some of the parking stalls, it was in the landscape planters, and it was in front of the trash enclosure.
Okay.
Okay, so quick question. If this plan motions through, what's the time frame they have to start cleaning all of that up, moving things in?
Let me look here. One of the things that we did as a condition was that the city is required to sign off on what ABC calls, the Department of Alcoholic Beverage Control calls a zoning affidavit. That stuff has to be picked up and out of there. The landscaping has to be rehabilitated before I'll even sign off on it. So that is, for lack of better terms, the incentive for the owner to do that. He can do it sooner rather than later.
Perfect, thank you.
Is there a time frame on that? I didn't hear that. Within 30 days.
I have, let me see, there is a 30-day time frame on one. Sign permits are required to be obtained within 30 days. And 30 days.
All right, thank you.
Yeah, that is conditions 4,
6.
6, and 11.
Okay.
I got another question. All the appropriate signs will be posted on the walls or parking area that, according to the beverage control, no drinking and so forth?
Yes. And those are typically handled through the Department of Alcoholic Beverage Control. They have specifics what they want the signs to say, where they want them to be located, you know, and we also, you know, require that as well. So.
Also, I see here where it says food preparation. Is there going to be food served there?
They do serve meat. You know, it is a meat market. You may want to ask the applicant when you open the public hearing if they do cook the meat to go. I couldn't tell when I was there. So that would be a question for the applicant.
Okay. At this point, I will now open public hearing on this agenda item. Anyone wishing to speak on this item, please step forward. Please state your name and your address, and you have 3 minutes.
Hi, my name is Homero Flores, and I'm the one who's doing all the preparation for the papers ABC for Mr. Marin. And I'm here to, support this project because it's a nice market, it's a nice building, it's secure, and most of the area there is industrial. So the hours of operation that we have is from 8 to 10 only every day. And the question about the food preparation is not food preparation. It's the area that they do here is they take the meat, they cut it, and they put it on the shelves. I didn't know what to call that area because it's the one who made the cuts there and put it on the shelving for the poultry and meat.
My name is Jose Marin. I'm the owner of this meat market. It's a convenience store. Like Amy said, most of the people, it feels free to walk in and get their stuff and go back home. That time when she went, we were in the middle of remodeling our cooler section. So a lot of the stuff that was on the parking lot was removed the day after. And we did a lot of work on our trees and stuff. But if it's required to do any more work, we'll get to do it, like she said, the sooner the better. It's a family-owned business, my wife and I, and that's all.
Okay, thank you. Are there any questions to the applicant at this point?
Yeah, again, the food preparation, la preparación de comida, dice que hay, no dice carne or...
It's a meat market. We prep our own meat to serve it to the people so they can take it home and cook it themselves.
Yeah, what I'm saying is it says food preparation there. Can we change that language there not to show it's not food, it's actually preparing the...
Packaging, maybe.
Or packaging or preparing the meat?
Yes, we can do that. There's no
Okay.
problem.
Any other questions?
Again, let me ask you again. There will be no food served there, right?
No, there's no food service.
Very good.
Okay. Is there anyone else wishing to speak on this agenda item?
My name is Edward Rodriguez. I'm one of the residents of Herbourne Park. It's a good store. A lot of people go there. He helps a lot of people out in that area out there. We hope you guys pass this right here. A lot of people want the beer sold there, so when they buy their meat there, they can buy the beer there also. And then instead of going from one location getting the meat and then going to another store where beer sold, that's why the reason is they want to have moved this to motion this through. So I wanted to say.
All right, thank you, sir. Anyone else speaking? No problem.
I'd like also to add, he does help out a lot of the community himself, and the community helps him too. So whatever work he does need to be cleaned up on anything or landscaping, a lot of people are willing to help. A lot of them. So I'll be one too.
All right, thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Anyone else? All right, seeing no further interest at this point, I'll now close public communication. Are there any questions from the commission to staff in regards to this item?
I have
Another
one question.
again. I'm having problems with this, looking at this food preparation, and in the corner you see a kitchen up there. What's the intent of having a kitchen in a meat market, food preparation? Something's not making sense to me. Maybe we should design that plan. Why would you have a kitchen in a meat market and a food preparation? To me, it looks like sooner or later it will be serving food there. That's what it looks like to me.
And correct me if I'm wrong, but you need a refrigerator for the meat.
Kitchen.
Yeah, it's a kitchen area.
Well, there's refrigerators already there. We're talking about the kitchen area.
Okay.
I had a question. Is there enough adequate space for the trash that's going to be coming about from if we pass this, so that all the trash can be stored away and not visible to the public?
When this was built, and the same requirements for trash enclosures for an industrial building of this size would be the same as that if it was built originally as a commercial building, for lack of better terms. provided, and I have not been out there since my original inspection, provided all the stuff is removed, there will be, the trash enclosure is there. And it does meet the current code requirements.
Okay.
And he does have trash service with Waste Management for pickup, so.
Perfect. Thank you.
I'm sorry, Amy, when was your visit?
Oh, gosh, I wrote it in the report. August 7th.
And no other visit has been made since then?
I have not made another visit, no.
And the location of the nearest liquor store?
The location of the nearest liquor store, if I recall correctly, is on the corner of Azusa Canyon and Olive. It's right across the street from the Sriracha plant, and I believe it's Don Lynn's liquor store. That is the only other one that I can think of, unless you're going over to Olive Square Market, but that is in a completely different census tract and all that.
Okay. So basically, that location, the current location on Azusa Canyon and Olive, and this location would be the only two locations within a short mile radius? would be
Within
selling?
this census tract, yes.
Okay.
And if I can respond to Commissioner Padilla's request, what you may be seeing there in terms of food preparation area could be what is required by the Department of Public Health. They have very, very strict standards in terms of what you need in terms of food handling, which they are handling food there. So that may be, you know, a response to your question, although I have not consulted with them or anything like that. I can tell you that when I was there, there were no seats. There was a counter. It looked like what you would think of as a meat market. You walk up to the counter, you order, you get it, you leave. There were no seats or tables or anything.
Commissioner Padilla, perhaps we can add a condition that states there shall be no food preparation for on-site consumption.
Yeah.
And that way, if code enforcement or planning sees any food preparation like sandwiches and stuff, they can bring it to you for revocation of the CUP.
Isn't that a different category altogether about preparing food, like a pizza place to take out, according to what they're asking for a liquor license here?
Well, you can place that as a condition.
Yes.
So even though it is directly related in the sense that you're able to add conditions which relate to consumption. So you can add that as a condition if you wish.
Also got another question, Amy. The gentleman specified that there was some remodeling had been done. Was there any permits on it that, was this approved as is? Permits?
When the original building was built as a food warehouse, there were tenant improvements that were done in order to make it a more retail type setting. There were permits that were, you know, obtained. Primarily what it was to provide a drop ceiling with lighting. So your lighting wasn't way up on the top. It was further, you know, down to where it was, you know, more feasible for a retail type atmosphere. And yes, there were permits obtained. That was done, I want to say back in around 2007, 2008. But yes, there were permits obtained, and they were finalized.
Because according to the testimony you gave, there was trash piled up due to the remodeling that they did. I think we should look into that a little bit further.
Okay, Amy, could you follow up on that in regards to any remodeling that was done?
If I can offer a suggestion, maybe you might want to ask the applicant.
Well, what we did, we replaced all lights from our coolers. The lights were all very hard to find, so all the lights were removed from our coolers. and those are big lights. All of them were replaced. Like I said, when they go bad, it's very hard to get them. So that's not like remodeling, not like walls or stuff like nothing like that. Everything is the way it is on our plans.
Were all the lights replaced and all the coolers? How many coolers do you have?
It's about 10 doors with 2 lights on each cooler.
That equals 20, right? 20 lights?
Correct.
Big lights?
Yes, and the cooler meets all the standard for NSA and the.
Did you have to go redo the panel or upgrade your panel to get those lights to work?
No, sir.
Was there permits pulled on that?
I'm sorry?
Did you pull permits on that to replace the lights?
No. They're just newer lights. It's the same size, same everything. It's just newer model. You can get the old ones.
Okay, thank you.
Again, are there any other questions in regards to this agenda item? Seeing none at this point, I'm sorry, at this point, we'll close public communication. I think I did that already, didn't I? Yeah. Okay. At this point, I will accept a motion on this agenda item.
I make a motion that we not move this and have further studies on these plans here, the kitchens and food preparations, and maybe make another visit to the facility.
So at this point, that's a
motion to continue to the next regular meeting.
right. Is there a second? Actually, I will second the motion. Due to the fact I would like to have a second visit to the location. Is there an objection?
Can we be very sure what exactly is being asked?
The motion was that we extend this item to the next scheduled meeting, which will be, our next scheduled meeting.
You're probably looking at October because I'm going to be on vacation the
Okay.
2 times in September.
Okay, to postpone it to the next scheduled meeting. And it was motion and it was second.
Okay.
To
Yeah.
get information concerning the remodeling and what
An
else?
on-site visit,
And then another on-site visit.
correct.
Okay.
Do I hear?
Okay. The public hearing is closed.
Yes.
We need to continue this date specific unless I notice it again.
Okay, so we should leave it open?
You can reopen the public hearing and continue,
Continue it.
actually to a date certain.
Yeah,
You're correct-
okay,
you're
I
right.
had it backwards.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that date certain would be,
October 8th. We'll do the second meeting in October.
Okay.
okay. So you need to reopen the public hearing and then take a vote, yeah.
Okay. At this point, I will open public hearing and keep it open until the next scheduled meeting, which is October 8th. And at this point, I had a motion and a second. Do I hear any objections?
I second.
You're okay. Do I hear any objections?
No.
Seeing none? Okay, well,
I understood that Commissioner Padilla made the motion and Chair Muse seconded it.
correct.
Okay,
No objections.
thank you.
So we're going to keep this item open until October 8th and be revisited on October 8th. Correct?
That's, yes.
Okay. Thank you. Okay, next agenda item.
Okay. Honorable Chair, Commissioners, members of the audience, this last public hearing is a request fourfold. First of all, it's for consideration of a mitigated negative declaration of environmental impact, a conditional use permit to allow a density bonus of 25% of the allowable density within the R1 zone pursuant to section 153.040.140A of the city's municipal code and section 65915 of the California Government Code. 3, a tentative tract map to subdivide 3 lots into 10 lots for residential purposes with a new cul-de-sac street pursuant to table 152.10 of the city's municipal code. And then 4, a development plan to allow the construction of a 10-unit detached single-family residential project, including one affordable dwelling unit pursuant to section 153.040.140B of the city's municipal code. So, the project site that we're looking at is on Fortin Street, which you can see right here. It's on the northeast side of town, and the request comprises 3 separate lots. One of them, this one, the top one right here, is actually a city-owned lot, which is owned by the city for future public right-of-way street purposes. The other 2 properties are owned by the developer. There are residences on the property which will be demolished and removed to make way for the 10 dwelling units as well as the public street. The cul-de-sac, let me see, oh, there's an aerial of it. See, this is the city-owned property, and then these are the other 2. This is a colored rendering of what the project's going to look like. As you can see, the developer is going to put in a cul-de-sac, which will provide for the required radius. Where'd you go? There you go. The required radius pursuant to fire department standards at the end, and it will also have sidewalk on both sides of the street. This is what the proposed dwelling units will look like. There are 10 of them. They are detached. They are 2 stories with 2-car attached garages. Each of them have 4 bedrooms and between 2.5 and 3 full bathrooms. Floor areas range between 1,700 and 2,300 square feet, not including the garage. That is livable area. The garage will add approximately another 400, 450 square feet. As you can see from the prior slide, we are proposing a significant amount of trees, both along the front in addition to the backyards as well. As I mentioned, one of the items that we're looking at tonight is a conditional use permit in order to exceed the maximum allowable density in the R1 zone. One of the dwelling units will be made affordable to a family of low income as opposed to being sold at market rate, and that would be this unit right here. Designated for affordable units are required to remain affordable for a family of low income for a minimum of 30 years. What that means is that once an owner purchases the property, they've been qualified and everything by the city's housing authority, they cannot come in 5 years later, sell it at market rate, and make a killing. That dwelling is covenanted for 30 years, and subsequent buyers within that 30-year period would have to meet the affordability for a low-income family. And as I mentioned before, the city's housing authority reviews the eligibility of all the potential buyers for the affordable dwelling unit. So at this time, staff is recommending that the Planning Commission adopt Resolution PC 14-14 entitled A Resolution of the Planning Commission of the City of Baldwin Park recommending that the Planning Commission, 1, approve and adopt the mitigated negative declaration of environmental impact, 2, approve a conditional use permit to allow a density bonus of 25% of the allowable density within the R1 single-family residential zone pursuant to section 153.040.140.A of the city's municipal code. 3, approve a tentative tract map to subdivide 3 lots into 10 lots for residential purposes pursuant to Table 152.10 in the city's municipal code. And 4, approve a development plan allowing the construction of a 10-unit, single-family detached residential development pursuant to Section 153.040.140B of the city's municipal code. The location is 4820 through 4828 Fortin Street. The applicant is Baldwin Park Homes, LLC. The case numbers are CP 820, TM 71822, and PR 11-28. And this concludes staff's presentation.
Thank you, Amy. At this point, any questions to staff on this item?
I have a question. Does the fact that there's one low-income property, does that in any way change the property tax, similar to that Rome thing where they have a few low income and then the whole property, the whole unit doesn't pay property tax? Does this have anything to do with it?
No. And the difference here is that the Rome Corporation is actually a not-for-profit developer. They have a certain tax status. They're kind of like, and City Attorney Olivas, please correct me if I'm wrong, they're kind of like a hospital.
Yeah.
You know, like a 501c3 sort of.
Exactly.
Whereas,
Habitat for Humanity.
am I correct on that?
Yeah.
Okay. This, however, is not that at all.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, is this going to be a private street?
No, it is not.
Okay, so it's not subject to kind of like an HOA association?
One of the things that I had heard from our chief executive officer, the city council wanted to be sure that the front yard areas adjacent to the public right-of-way are adequately maintained. One of the conditions that we have included in here is that the front yards facing the public right-of-way, and that includes the new street, but also Fortin Street, are maintained by CCNRs and or a homeowners association as determined by the Department of Real Estate. That is a condition that the city attorney and I came up with. The applicant is aware of that, and pretty much what the goal is, they just want to see the landscaping maintained on a regular basis. They don't want to see, for example, someone letting it go and then it becoming brown and things drying up. So whatever mechanism is decided, it will have to, it'll have to be approved by the Department of Real Estate, and we've included that as condition. Oh, wrong staff report. It is included as a condition.
Yes, it is.
Yes, it is, I know.
Somewhere in here.
I have a question on that.
Mm-hmm.
With the impending water restrictions, it's going to be tough to maintain yards anymore, and I have proof to that with my brown lawn. So to strap somebody with a green lawn when they aren't going to have the water to make it green, it's going to be kind of tough, unless they use this alternative plant or...
We do require drought-tolerant landscaping, and there are yes, we understand we want to see green and lush. That's really not working at this point with our water crisis. But there are plants drought-tolerant plants that can be utilized in order to, provide a pleasing view from the public right-of-way as opposed to just dirt or things like that.
And that was pretty much my question in regards to that, because would that street be subject to code enforcement violations by having whoever the homeowners are, by letting it go, letting the grass grow, ankle high or whatever?
Yes.
And be subject to code enforcement? Okay.
Just like any other property.
These
Okay.
are all detached single-family homes, so they would be subject to code enforcement.
All right. Any more questions to staff?
Yeah, I'd like to ask, this is a tentative a planned residential development. Has its plans been submitted already and approved?
Construction drawings have not been submitted for plan check at this time.
Okay, the next one, is there a fire protection within 500 feet of this property?
The project has been approved by the fire department. If I recall correctly, they do have to install a new hydrant, but the fire department has tentatively approved this and cleared it for public hearing. I do not bring items to the planning commission that specifically parcel maps or tentative maps that do not have clearance from the fire department.
Very good.
Okay, any more questions to the staff?
I would like to move this to the next meeting, only because in receiving the entire package on Saturday, I didn't have the adequate amount of time to review the 108-page report that's listed for the staff. And I would like to look a little bit further in detail at this negative declaration to see what the impacts are, just to be on the safe side.
Okay. At this point, I hear your concern, but at this point, I'd like to open up the public hearing for anyone wishing to speak on this item. And I see one of the developers.
Hello, members of the Planning Commission and staff and City Attorney. My name is Craig Cook. Our business address is 1773 San Bernardino Road, City of West Covina. I think that staff did a very good presentation on the project, describing what it is. I don't know if everyone's familiar with the site. The city's owned it since the early 70s, and when they grind streets, that's the area where they dump the grindings, right there, and it's been an open lot, and it's been that way for probably about 40 years. And the whole goal is to extend this street down and then turn it and connect it up with Comview. Comview coming down from Nubia is kind of dead-ended in a development built in the 80s, and the goal was, for all cities, is to continue on with their street developments to access the rear lots of all these houses. And hopefully this will be the big step in that process that not only provides development of these lots, but also will be able to provide developments of the rear lot sections of that entire run of Fortin Street all the way up to Nubia, connecting Comview. As far as the comments about the HOA, we met with staff, and they voiced their opinions and their concerns about it, and we agreed. The exact way we'll do it is not. It may be better to describe it as a maintenance agreement than an HOA, because there is no common area, because it's a public street, and there won't be any insurance of a common area. So instead of $150 or $200 association, we're hoping that it's somewhere down in the 50 or 60, and it's just covering the maintenance of the yards and the maintenance of the sprinkler system. And I'm not even saying that it's as much as important as far as keeping things lush as it is as far as just keeping things maintained. Because you can water things 1 or 2 days a week, and you can put drought-resistant and drought-tolerant landscaping in, but it still needs to be maintained. Any type of landscaping needs to be maintained. So you can be very water-wise, and you can be very conscious of the problems and still have something that looks nice. What the city's concern is that we can put all this landscaping in, and then people just won't cut their grass and won't weed the planting areas, and then it doesn't matter if it's drought resistant or not. They could be using water 7 days a week, flooding it, and just letting it overgrown. And the hope was that we're going to use something that's drought resistant and drought tolerant, but it's also just going to be getting maintained, getting dealt with. Someone's going to be touching it every week, and the type of, I think a maintenance agreement might be a little bit better than a HOA, but it's something with the Department of Real Estate, something where they have to set it up and everyone pays in, and it will continue to look nice for years to come. That's everyone's goal. As far as the continuing it, we'd really like if we could get a vote tonight. We've been working on this project off and on for almost 3 years, so a continuance and then going all the way into October, and we have public hearings in other cities almost every single week of October. So we're hoping that we can get a vote on this tonight if it's possible. I don't know if there's any issues of contention, and I believe that it was right on the edge of needing a mitigated neg deck instead of just being a categorically exempt neg deck. I mean, it was right on the edge, and there was no impacts. So I don't think being just the 1 acre project, staying the same zoning, saying the same use, the amount of traffic, things like that. I don't know, if there's going to be, I know I look at these things all the time, the MNDs and stuff like that, and they're just no, especially projects this small.
Craig, your time's up.
Is the applicant unlimited or no?
3 minutes,
Okay.
my friend.
Well, hopefully you guys can vote on it tonight, barring any other questions. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. We'll probably be asking you something else. But anyone else wishing to speak on this item?
To answer your question, sir, all of these houses will be sprinkled, in addition to there being a fire hydrant right there in the middle that was worked out with the fire department. So you're never more than like 2 houses away from a fire hydrant on this. And if there's any other questions, that was just one of the questions you had, and he ran out of time. Any questions?
Oh, you said that all the houses will have the sprinklers on them?
No, all of the houses will have fire sprinklers inside.
Oh, good.
The garage will be sprinkled, the whole house will be sprinkled. The fire, that's a complete separate plan, which goes down to the fire department. They approve that plan, and then it's inspected, and then the fire department comes out and inspects that, and it has alarms on. It's quite exotic. It's not my favorite idea because worst damage you get is water damage, but there won't be any fires. It's good to see this city attorney. It's been a number of years since you and I have stood, you up there and me down here.
I'm not the city attorney. I'm the assistant. So
you always have all the right answers, whatever the name. Any other questions?
Yes. Are there similar? Are these new? The designs of the homes, are they new, or is there something similar that you've already put up in the city of Baldwin Park?
Most of these are new designs. There is this one right here on the left is similar, but we have never built these exact house plans in the city. One of the things that you will notice about these, and I don't know if you can have it on your screen right here, there's a lot more to them. There's a lot more gingerbread, bric-a-brac, however you want to call it. For example, this house here on the far right, it's got 3 windows side by side. We've never done that in any city ever before.
All right.
The city of Baldwin Park had a planning update, and a lot of the other cities have had planning updates. And though we've had our tried and true house plans that we liked, there needed to be adjustments due to the new planning codes. And a lot of it was, the term everyone's using is 360-degree architecture instead of just the front, 360-degree. And that meant taking in some of the second floor and articulating it and have roof lines on all 4 sides and having jogs back and forth on the front and back. Like he said, have I built this house plan before? To me, it looks similar, but it's not the same. None of them are the same. Even the affordable house is 250 square feet bigger than it traditionally was when we built it before, because in order to get that articulation and the roof lines and things like that and make it wider, one of the things was that they didn't want the garage-dominant house, so we had to make them a little bit wider. And that it's similar, but it's not. It wouldn't be fair to call them the same because they're not the same.
Okay. Now, which house was the one that's supposed to be low income?
The White House, the middle house. I don't know how to change that, but it's still 4-bedroom. It still has the same cabinet. It still has the same cabinets, the same granite, the same flooring, the same paint. Everything's the same. It's just instead of being 2,000, it's 1,700. I think now. It used to be only 1,400, but because it was so obvious that it was a low income house, that everyone's asked us to make them a little bit bigger, put a little bit more decorations on them, a little bit more roof lines, so they've gotten bigger and a little bit nicer.
And that was going to be located where?
It is lot number 5. It's the top right.
That's what I thought. Okay.
And on the inside, sir, it's going to have the granite countertops. It's going to have the tile floors. It's going to have the same faucets and fixtures and lights of all of the other houses. And down here on the end, it's going to have one of the very biggest yards in the track.
I noticed that.
So there was a little bit of a trade-off.
Okay. And right now, there's only going to be one low-income residence, right? And that'll qualify you for the,
Correct. In that R1, 5,000 square feet, it would have allowed for 8 houses. So you're allowed to do 8. You do one of them affordable, and then it allowed for density bonus units for the sake of doing the affordable unit and not getting any funding or any assistance. You're buying that unit down. For low income, it'll probably, instead of it selling for 400 or 450, it'll probably sell for 280. So because you bought that down and you had a partnership with the developer and the city providing affordable housing without actually using any funding but getting a density bonus, because there's a benefit to us to have a density bonus. So in that process, you buying it down, it's a low income, and you get extra units, density bonus units.
so you got basically 2 additional homes?
Depending on how you interpret it, sometimes they say, okay, you're allowed 8. So if you do one of the 8 and that, let's say it's 17%, and then if you do 17% low, you get 15% more, depending on how you calculate it. But it works out. When you get that at 4,000, when you don't break the 4,000 square feet, it works out to, yeah. Basically, if you provide 1, you get 2. So, and if you provided moderate, you would only get 1. But when you take it all the way down to low, which gets down into the 200s instead of 330 or 340, when you get down into the 200s, they give you a greater incentive because it's really hard for sale affordable housing, get down that low, very low. It's very difficult to get enough of a percentage. It's just a sliding scale right out of the state code on what you're provided, depending what type of incentive you're provided for doing, depending on the level of affordability.
And what is the current, I know you may not have it now, but what do you think the price range would be for these homes in this area?
The market weight runs?
Yeah.
When we did the Vineland project, the highest house there, I think, sold for like 480, 490, somewhere in that, and those were 2,300. They were a little bit bigger than these, but I think the market's probably a little bit higher than it was 2 years ago, a year and a half ago. So I would think, we're thinking right about 500, maybe a little bit above 500, but that's what we're thinking. I mean, you're seeing in El Monte and some of the other cities, Covina and some of those, we're getting, it's hard to break that 600. It's pretty tough. So you're seeing, I would think low 500s here, if I had to guess. But I don't know. 500s always seems kind of like a staggering number to me, so I would think low 500s.
All right, thank you. Any other questions from commissioners? Okay. Earlier there was a request to carry this item over to our October 8th time frame. That is a motion. Is there a second?
I make a motion that we, there's no second on it, but motion that we just continue with this. Make a move on it. Vote on it.
So you're wishing to vote on it tonight?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. Since we don't have a second for your motion, okay, at this point, I guess there's another motion for it to be voted on this evening. Is there a second motion for that?
I'll second.
Okay.
Okay, I'm sorry.
We're just right now, because the motion was made earlier to postpone it.
Continue, and
Right,
it
to
died,
continue.
lack of second.
Right. And so Mr. Padilla made a motion that we
Okay.
vote on it
Thank
this
you.
evening, and it was seconded by Commissioner Woods.
Commissioner Woods. Okay, thank you very much.
Okay, at this point, I have a motion to vote on this item, and we have a second. So I will take a motion to
Approve staff's
Approve.
recommendation as read by the.
yes,
by-
approve staff's recommendation. Thank you. Yes.
Okay.
Okay, do I have a second?
Oh, I already said, yeah, I seconded it.
Okay.
Just a second.
Any objections? Seeing none, at this point, and correct me if I'm wrong, my motion passes.
And that, for the record, that would be a 5-0 vote.
Thank you very much.
All right, thank you. Next agenda item, please.
Thank you, Chair, Commissioners. The next item before you is actually under Reports of Officers. This provides a monthly status report for May and June and July on our Sustainable Communities Element update. We do have two commissioners that are serving on the Technical Advisory Committee for that, Commissioner Valenzuela and Commissioner Padilla. And pretty much this is providing you with an update to that. It is looking like we will be having a study session in the future with the Planning Commission on this item. Right now we're looking into, because this is a item that is funded entirely by a grant, we are looking into the grant funding to see if it would allow for that. So that may be coming to you in the near future. And then eventually this will come to you as an amendment to the general plan for recommendation, and then ultimately it will go on to the City Council for final approval or not. Does anybody have any questions?
Was there any update or any information that needed to be presented to us or by
No, at this point right now, I just provide you the monthly updates. Once we get into a possible study session, I'm sure there will be items at that time. I don't know. I'd like to give the commissioners that are on that advisory committee, if you'd like to, continue or say anything. Nothing?
I guess not.
You pretty much said it.
Okay. Not a problem.
Okay, next item, I guess, is the Metro.
Yes, this is another, this is the Metro Transit Oriented Development Specific Plan. This is also another item that we have that is entirely grant funded. We did have a community meeting at the end of May. The consultants talked about the area, the background, and got a lot of feedback from the community members that were present. Currently, right now, they are taking all of the background research that they are doing, and what we are in the process of doing right now is finalizing what is going to be the ultimate build-out capacity based on what's currently existing within our zoning code, what the capacity that's in our general plan, future capacity that we can see within the downtown area, so that the environmental consultant can prepare an EIR based on that maximum capacity, so that when a developer comes in, we can say, here you go, Mr. Developer, this is what we want it to look like, this is where we want it to sit, your environmental is done, provided you meet all of this, go for it. And what that does is that is used as an economic development tool for a developer that comes in. We do not have a developer, nothing like that. But primarily, like I said, what this is it's an economic development tool, so that when someone does want to develop their property, or a developer comes in and wants to develop a property, we can hand it to them and say, this is what the City Council's approved, this is what they want to see. Any questions?
No.
Okay.
None from me.
And of course, the specific plan would come to the commission for consideration.
Yes, it will. You will see it. Forgot about that. Okay, moving on to redevelopment project area overlay, ordinance 1290, the summary of the public meeting, and then City Council direction. As some of you are aware, you have attended our public meetings. We've had 2 community meetings regarding Ordinance 1290 and the associated amendments. On August 20th, staff provided a summary and a recommendation to the City Council that based on the community meetings that, you know, maybe the council might want to direct staff to move forward with repealing Ordinance 1290 and its associated amendments. And I can say that at the August 20th meeting, the council did agree with staff. So we will be moving forward with that process. It's not a wham bam, thank you ma'am process. I see that there. I know. This is not one of those things that will happen overnight, because we do want to make sure we only do this once. And there have been subsequent amendments to this, and we want to make sure that what we are repealing is correct and will leave us and won't decimate, you know, what is left. So, and I do know we had a couple commissioners that did go to those committee meetings, and I don't know if you wanted to say a few words.
It was enlightening, a lot of good input from a lot of different people. I was pleased that someone is finally listening.
So, and that will also come to you as well at
Right.
some point in the future.
That will come to this commission for a recommendation to city council.
Correct. Okay, moving on, number 10, the update to the alcohol beverage license sales policy. I briefly touched on this on one of my items, but pretty much at the July 2nd study session, we provided council members with a fact sheet regarding alcoholic beverage sales, both on-site for restaurants and off-site for grocery stores and markets and such. At that time, the council directed staff to create a policy which included several items. Number one, that any new license, meaning a new ABC license, shall have no less than 10,000 square feet of floor area. For example, if, let's say, a new grocery store wanted to come in, let's say Ralph's wanted to come in, they would be over 10,000 square feet of floor area. They would be able to apply for a conditional use permit and bring in a brand new business license from outside, or I'm sorry, brand new alcohol license from outside of the city. However, they wanted to be sure that, you know, they did allow small outlets with less than 10,000 square feet of floor area an opportunity. However, they don't want, the council did not want to see outlets with less than 10,000 square feet of floor area flooding in new licenses. Outlets with less than 10,000 square feet of floor area, and this is off sale, would have to relocate an existing license within the city, which is very similar to the Calm View CUP that we heard earlier. He relocated that license from Little Market over here by Taco Nazo. We put it in escrow to relocate it up to his market. It also encourages the promotion of on-site eating places, you know, restaurants. We do want to encourage that. We still require a conditional use permit. And then the policy also included a listing of common conditions of approval, which you have seen tonight with the 3 alcoholic beverage CUPs that were before you. So the said policy, we did bring it to the city council, and on August 6th it was approved, and I've included that in your council staff, or your commission packet. Any questions?
Yes.
Sir.
Okay, so on an example as of tonight, okay, so if the owners of the meat market purchases the liquor license from another location, they can transfer it to their current location?
Yes.
If they meet the specific square footage requirement, correct? Or is it grandfathered in?
They don't need to meet the 10,000 square feet.
Right.
Because part of the policy was that if they transferred a liquor license, then they would not be subject to the 10,000 square feet.
Right.
Right.
That is correct.
So if the escrow of that new facility, if he purchases that building, is it a moot point for him to come here and request a liquor license?
Alcohol sale, any new alcohol sales at a location requires a conditional use permit.
Right.
Right. He's taking an existing license at a current market.
Right.
He put it in escrow to move it up to his location on Calmview.
Right.
He did not get that license from out of the city or anywhere else.
Okay.
Okay, I think I might be a little unclear, is your question.
Okay.
Okay.
So we have a certain amount of liquor license floating around,
Correct.
Right.
and it's like the New York City cab license. $100,000, I'll sell you my medallion.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So again, my question is, would it be a mute issue for this if that sale goes through? He now owns a liquor license.
Correct.
The escrow is conditioned upon him getting the CUP.
Right.
Okay. Okay.
Yes. Yes.
Okay, that's the difference. Okay. Okay.
Yeah, if he does not get the CUP, all he has is a liquor license.
Got it.
He does
Okay.
not, it does not enable him to sell at the facility because he does not have a conditional use permit.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Do they jack the price up? Seller?
That's
that
negotiated between the buyer and the seller.
Okay.
Yeah, that's
I know on the escrow instructions, I didn't think it was appropriate to have what his escrow was for, but I will tell you it was in the tens of thousands.
Normally, what does a liquor license cost?
It depends. Distilled spirits, lots, hundreds of thousands, because there are only a certain number, like the New York City cabs.
Right.
Beer and wine licenses are a little bit more out there. There's more of them, so they obviously command less. It's
Okay.
all market.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's see. That was a liquor license. Next one is the Planning Division monthly report.
Yes, I've attached for you, as I do, our Planning Division monthly report. Jerry Irving and I have been busy for the months of June and July. So if you have any questions, I'll be more than happy to answer those. If not, I can move on.
Any questions? Seeing none, move on.
The next one is a verbal update on the proposed Irwindale Materials Recovery Facility and Transfer Station. The city has entered into an agreement with Environmental Science Associates. They are currently in the process of reviewing the recirculated draft environmental impact report for the facility. Comments will be due, I want to say, sometime in late September, early October, and we will forward those comments to the city of Irwindale on that draft environmental impact report. So,
They address our issues? And it hasn't been published yet. So.
yeah, the first round of comments that we gave them, they did address some in the recirculated draft DIR. However, there were some that we felt their addressing of was severely lacking. So the council, like I said, they have, we've approved the contract with ESA, and ESA was actually the group that did our first review for us when the first draft environmental impact report came out on the MRF. So, any questions? And if you would like, as commissioners, as residents of the community, you are completely free and open to send letters and address your concerns.
Thank you. Next is the update on the
Olive
pit.
For those commissioners that don't know, the Olive Gravel Pit is actually bordered by Olive Street to the north, Los Angeles Street to the south, and Azusa Canyon to the east. It is across from the Sriracha plant. And the city of Irwindale has published or released for public comment a draft environmental impact report to start the mining again. And then at the conclusion of the mining for gravel, they will reclaim the pit, meaning they will fill it, and then eventually at some point it will be full and they will do some type of development on the filled up pit. We have hired environmental science associates. They have experience in reviewing these lovely types of uses. And they are reviewing that and will be providing their letter to us based on their review of the draft EIR. So that's where we are.
And last, I need an updated verbal update on the Vineland location.
I think at the last Planning Commission meeting, I had mentioned that the City Council did not approve the Vineland Residential Care Facility for, I can't remember how many beds right now. Anyway, the council did not approve it. As such, the applicant had 90 days to file a writ with Superior Court, and they have done that. They have filed a lawsuit against us. And we are currently in the process of responding to their public records request.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any comments from the commissioners? Seeing no comments, I will now take a motion for adjournment.
Motion to adjourn.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
I see no objections, so meeting's over. Thank you.
There's a lot of reviewing.